Paul Walker, or as many of us know him as Brian O'Connor from the Fast and Furious franchise, was a true enthusiast. And he owned not one, not three, not six, but 5 extremely limited production E36 M3 lightweights. Oh baby, and in this video we're gonna dissect why he owns so many of these extremely rare and extremely special BMWs. Let's go! Now before we dig into why Paul Walker had 5 of these E36 M3 lightweight CSLs, CSL standing for Coupe Sport Lightweight, we have to understand what makes these cars so special. See, back in 1995, the E36 chassis had been around for a couple of years, and there was a growing demand from American customers for something that was a little bit more special than just the regular M3. Something a wee bit more track-oriented and just a little bit more fun to drive. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the result. BMW put this M3 on the Jenny Craig diet and lost almost 225 pounds from the standard version. It got integrated aluminum doors, no sound deadening, no creature comforts, European spec stiffer springs, unique front and rear spoilers, and a hand-picked motor. And you could order this car in any color that you'd like as long as it was white. Now, the E36 LTW is an extremely rare machine with only 126 documented built total. Yeah, this thing was built with competition in mind. And a couple specific performance enhancements really set this thing apart. Specifically, those engineers over at BMW decided to shorten the final drive ratio and make it 323:1. And although the engine was still the stock S50, that inline 6 3-liter was cherry-picked off the production line. And when coupled with the engineers deleting the speed limiter that always got in the way, this M was a little bit more M-tastic. Plus, on the interior, the power leather seats in a normal M were now fully manual and cloth. Oh, and for the exterior, we can't forget about that LTW wing. It literally is one of the best looking wings on any car ever. I mean, what other car has a better looking OEM wing? Like a Subaru STI? Or let us know down in the comments. What car has the best spoiler that you know of? Stock. Remember, it's gotta be stock. Okay, back to the LTW, because the one other thing that really sets this car apart is that if you look at the left front and the right rear, they had those iconic BMW Motorsport colored checkered flags, which at any car show in this day and age, you'll probably see on 1 or 2. But that being said, remember that the LTW, for it to be a true LTW, has to be white. And one last thing that makes the LTW CSL so special is that they just litter the inside of it with a bunch of little carbon fiber bits, which is still cool today and extremely cool in 1995. And see, here's the thing, when you add all up those little special bits, it makes a car that already loves to be driven hard even that much more, dare I say, rated M. Yeah, definitely an ideal car. So now that we know a little bit more about the LTW, what are the reasons why Paul Walker would own 5 of these? Well, there's really 3 reasons. The first is that Paul loved the E36 chassis. Secondly, he knew it was going to be an incredible investment. And third, E36 M3s have a colorful racing heritage. So let's first go back to why Paul loved the E36 chassis, and specifically the LTW the most. In 2012, Paul stated that he had the largest private collection of E36 M3 lightweights, and that in his opinion, it's the best generation of BMW M3. Since they only brought 60 LTWs to the States, and they didn't come with AC, they're essentially the perfect weekend race car. LTW to BMW is like the GT variant to Porsche, and because they're extremely cool, I started nabbing them up. Because early on, I realized it was gonna be the quote-unquote it car. I've been able to amass a bunch of them, and so I'm just gonna sit on them for a while. Yeah, so as you can tell, Paul Walker, as we know, is an enthusiast, but he also likes his E36s. So much so that when he was asked about the E46 M3, he said that I hated it. Compared to the E36, I think the E36 shits on the E46. I will always say that. Okay, Paul, we miss you. And the second reason is because of financial reasons. I mean, in 2015, these bad boys were going for around 75K. Nowadays, they're being sold for over double that. Now that is just bonkers. And thirdly, the E36 chassis actually had a pretty decorated racing career. In this car, the number 10 PTG won the 24 Hours of Daytona in 1997. So I think the LTW is cool, but I don't think it's $150,000 cool. And as far as all the M3 generations, do you think the E36 chassis is the most ideal, or is there another chassis like the E30 or E46 which Paul absolutely hated, that's a little bit better. Let us know down in the comments. And if you want to shift gears and check out 5 cheap sports cars under 10K, click here. Or check out what YouTube recommends you watch next. Oh, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe. But either way, you can't lose. And as always, keep living that ideal lifestyle, baby.